Mills, Conchar with a rundown block. Oh, John Conchar.
Getting jetty with it.
Welcome to the Draft and Stash, your one-stop shop for NBA news, but more importantly, all of your Memphis Grizzlies news. I'm Andrew, and joining me as always is Frank.
Heyo.
The Grizzlies were finally allowed back on the court, and in the first two games looked to pick back up where they left off, getting two big wins in San Antonio. But the great feelings were dashed as the Grizzlies were completely outplayed in their next two games, taking losses to the Pacers and to the Rockets. Frank, are the Grizzlies coming back to earth, or is this just a small bump on the road to great season?
I think it is a little bit of a column A, column B here. I think
right.
Our expectations were raised to an unsustainably high level after those two wins against the Spurs. I was texting you about it. We out-Spursed the Spurs, man. We played some of the best team basketball I've seen in recent memory.
It was great.
That stat where we had almost literally every single player scored figures except for Conchar. And he had like 9 or something like that. So it basically counted as everybody on the roster in double digits. It was awesome. And then, they look good defensively. They look good offensively. And then we play the Pacers, which, again, something we talked about before the game was this would kind of be the litmus test. Can our team defense and our team rebounding, something that has been winning us games against the Spurs, kind of before we went on that hiatus, we were starting to build up some momentum using these, like the team efforts.
Yeah.
And Sabonis and Turner just came in and completely manhandled every single one of the defenders we threw at them. Went off for
it was like
2 of their best games,
20 or something. Yeah,
it was amazing.
It's hard to win
for us.
When you give up 4 straight threes at the very beginning of the game. Like it was
that sort of set the tone, didn't it?
It was like Brogdon hit 2 in a row, and then like Lamb hit 1, and then Sabonis hit 1, and then at that point you're down 12-3, and then he calls a timeout, and then you get a 2, and then they come back down and get like an and 1, and then another 3, and then it's just like you're just playing uphill the entire game against Indiana. In the Spurs games, we felt like we hadn't missed a step. Like they were off for 12 days, came right back. You could see that there was a lot of like adrenaline on the court and that they were ready to start playing again. And they came out and just punched them in the mouth. And then it kind of showed that the Spurs look a little bit like us, which is they have a couple of players that are above average. And then a lot of guys that are in that role player mix. And we just like, it's like I said, there's a big difference when Melton hits 5 threes a game and then he goes into the Pacers game and hits 1, so, that's like it would have been nice to have had him hit those shots again, but like it just, those guys are not sustainable from the arc like that. And the Pacers game, I really think it was more personnel. Our biggest guy was Gorgui Dieng, who's not like a physical post threat. And so Turner took advantage of him. Sabonis took advantage of him. And then Tillman is 6'8". Kyle Anderson, 6'8". Brandon Clark, 6'8". And they just got abused in the post. And so it was that, plus they hit 17 threes on you. So it was just like, so they shot 55% from 3 and killed you in the paint. And so, okay, like it happens, whatever, we never win there. Going into the Houston game, I felt we just weren't prepared for some reason. The Houston shoots a lot from 3. They don't have a real poster. I mean, Tucker is our best post guy, and he's 6'2". Like, it's like it's incredible. And they just out hustled us, outshot us. John Wall completely outplayed John Morant. Oh, and talking about John Morant, dude, TJ McConnell like almost clamped him up basically in the Pacers game, which is crazy to think that this random bench player dude who is he's probably like a little bit better than like Nick Lathis was for us, He's
a league average backup point guard.
Yeah, and he came in and completely turned the entire game, and Ja never got going. And I don't know if it's because he hurt his ankle again in the Spurs game, but in the second Spurs game, the Pacers game, the Rockets game, Ja just does not look like himself. And at least he's self-aware enough to say, yeah, I have to show up. Like me as a point guard, I have to get everybody going. And so it's hard that when you're a guy that gets the highest usage rating is giving you next to nothing. And like Tyus Jones looked a lot better than him in the Pacers and the Houston game. But Ja's your guy, so you have to just stick with him. And he's in a slump, and he'll get out of it though. I mean, he's too good to be this bad. But Desmond Bane took a next step again or whatever, and he's looked good, in back-to-back games. So I think he definitely looks like a future role player, maybe a quasi starter at some point in his career, but a definite home run pick. At least he's playing really well. But I just say all that with this in mind. We're in year 2 of a 10-year build, right?
Oh yeah.
So this is okay. It's totally fine. It feels really disappointing because we're so ahead of schedule that we want to win now, right? It's
the disappointment is almost a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's we as a fan base are hungry, and we want to get in there and dance and punch people in the mouth and show everybody that that Ja's great. And that's awesome. But we have to know that we're not looking to go to the playoffs this year, and that's okay. So year 3, year 4 is when we're looking to really come out to the world and really look awesome. And then year 5, year 6, try to build for that next level championship and stuff. So it's totally okay if we're just a 500 team. And I'm not saying that I don't want to win every game because I do. I mean, but obviously, you have to take everything with a grain of salt right now. It's it's not the end of the world. It's okay. I mean, we're playing the Pelicans tonight. As of this recording, I don't expect us to win that game just because if Miles Turner and Sabonis and all those guys kicked our ass in the paint, Zion's going to have 35 points on us tonight probably because he lives in the paint.
Yeah.
And then Ingram's going to have another 30 probably. So I just don't see us beating them without Jaren and without Jonas. But that's okay, man. We're going to go. It's only 18 games in, right?
Just getting started.
Yeah. So there's another 18 and then another 18 games. So who knows what happens in the next 30 or 40 games, whatever. So not a big deal. We'll get through it.
Hopefully it doesn't take till year 5 or 6 to see Jaren and Justise and Valanciunas and everybody back out on the court.
Well, if the Grizzlies are going to make any noise in the West, it would definitely need their whole team. Here recently, the Grizzlies finally addressed their injury concerns, talking about Jaren and Justise. Are you more or less concerned after the news?
I'm less concerned than I was before. I had sort of notions that maybe there were setbacks that the organization wasn't telling us about, maybe re-injuring the knee, or in Justice's case, re-injuring the hip.
His hip.
But, the radio silence, while it built up this anxiety among the fan base, where is Jaren? Where is Justin? Jaren just told us he would surprise us with his return. And now the organization is going to saying it's going to be another month or so.
Yeah.
But they gave us the update that we needed. We needed some kind of communication. It really was getting to the point where it was what secrets are they keeping from us? But hearing their rationale, hearing the way that they're talking about Jaren and Justise and moving forward with them, it gives me some hope because it really the front office has inspired a lot of confidence lately. I don't know if you've been watching the post-game press conferences.
I try. It's just the audio quality is not always great.
It's not great.
So it's hard to really follow it sometimes or whatever.
Yeah, but I swear, dude, I've heard the words front office used 10 times more than I've heard ever before. Yeah. Watching the Grizz or any other organization, the players, the coaches, the press, everybody is talking about the front office, and that is because they are executing, man. They have a plan. They're building this team. They're building a culture, and they're taking steps, proven steps that are panning out towards these goals. Yeah. And so because of this inspired confidence and the length that they've been keeping Jaren and Justise out, it tells me they're betting on these guys for the future. Obviously, they are. They're two talented dudes, but that they're getting their bodies totally right until keeping them out until their bodies are totally right. So that when they do come back, they kind of have this fresh start. Their bodies are at ground zero. They're back ready to build it back up, get their skills back.
Man,
so I do think they'll come back healthy. And the front office, I'm confident in them now.
I think Harrington said that Zion got a trim, right? So it's basically him and Jaren had the exact same type of injury. And I think Zion and Kristaps Porzingis both got a trim.
Yeah, they did.
Which for those who don't understand what we're talking about, so upon getting surgery done to your meniscus, you can either take the ligament and pull it back down and have it like heal and stuff, and it takes longer because the body, so it takes like five months or so, or you can just cut it entirely out and then it's gone. And that's what Zion did, which is how he got back on the court after like 2 months or something or whatever, as opposed to waiting more time. Now, that might have an impact on him going forward, which is why he's moving how he's already moving, which looks like shit. And Jaren, we're hoping, he's young, and they're saying that if you're not in your 30s or 40s, there's no point in ever doing a trim. So maybe this won't be an issue going forward. And Kristaps and Zion both don't look great after these long hiatuses. So maybe we made the right decision, because Dallas looks like ash right now. And I say that with love, but like everybody coming into the year thought that Luka will be MVP, that him plus Porzingis plus Josh Richardson plus Tim Hardaway
and
Finney,
Pelicans a playoff
Josh Powell, that they were just saying that like that they were like a 4 seed probably, whatever. And then now it's like, oh, maybe Luka's just not an MVP, he's still good, but maybe all these role players is not as good as we thought, and maybe Porzingis is not as healthy as we thought, and they're already now trying to look at trades and stuff. And now folks are saying that because they don't have their first round pick, it went to the Knicks, that their future is all of a sudden not as bright as like ours or the Pelicans or the Thunders. And it's like those things really come at you fast sometimes, man. I'm kind of annoyed by Justise. Because this is like month 5 for him on an injury that they didn't think was that serious.
Yeah, it's a hip displacement. It's something that the initial timetable was like 2 weeks in the bubble, and he just kept getting held out. And when we, were kind of fizzling out in the bubble, it made sense to hold him out even if he was healthy, just because why insert him now at the end of the season when we're kind of waning? Let's keep him out. Let's bring him back fresh next season. And then season tip came and Justise was still out, and he's still out. So it is a little frustrating. You do kind of wonder if maybe he did have a setback, but I think it really is just the front office trying to get Jaren and Justise to 110% health.
Well, like, it wouldn't be so annoying if there wasn't such a mystery around Justise. Like if he had played in the bubble and we got to watch a couple games and then he got hurt. So the fact that we traded pieces that could have gotten us in the playoffs last year.
And we're playing well at the time.
And we're playing well. And you get this guy that you knew was injury prone, but you thought he fit your culture and he fit going forward in terms of your age timeline. His contract wasn't that bad. And you thought, okay, well, he would be the best free agent on the market. So you gave away all of your cap space money for him, and he still hasn't played. And now we're almost at the halfway point of the season, and he has a team option, and you don't know if he fits. And so it might be their first real in terms of the front office, might be their first real miss.
Ooh, Marco Guterich, dude, you're forgetting about somebody big there.
That didn't hurt us that bad though. I mean, no, he was awful, but I mean, he hasn't been as bad of a miss so far.
No,
so maybe
right.
Justise comes back and he's totally cool and he plays like the entire second half. Hopefully, I don't know. We are in February, which means we have reached Black History Month. Frank and I love the NBA, and we owe it a lot for all the entertainment that the league has brought us, but more importantly, what the players have provided over the years. Frank and I thought it would be fun to spotlight a few players each week during February and how they have changed the culture and helped the league grow over the years. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Mine's real simple. It's just, a guy, you think activist, and this guy is probably the first NBA name to come to mind. Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Just his whole career made a name stepping out from his star role off the court to sort of speak out on issues that he felt were important. And during the late 60s, he was a teenager during the civil rights movement. Star athlete in a time of segregation and hatred, and he watched Muhammad Ali sort of take a stand. He watched him, just the government tried to assassinate his character and everything like that, and said, I have to be that. I have to affect change with the platform that I've been given, by my talent, and in a league that's so focused on players and is, like you said, built by the players, there wouldn't be a league without the stars, Kareem, Wilt, all these names that came in and really established
Russell, it's like
as a product, and as a fun product. And because they're given this platform, it really does open the door for them to affect change in the real world. And Kareem is one of those guys you look at, and throughout his career, he was able to do that. And one specific example, when he was younger, before he was even in the NBA, was in '68 when they were doing the Olympics. And at the time, there was a loud vocal group of black college athletes who were saying they were going to sit out the Olympics because of what was going on at the time. Segregation hadn't really gone away. The integration of professional sports was still full swing. They were fighting for civil rights. And so there were these athletes who said, we are the reason we're winning gold medals. We're the reason our team, the American team can go out there and dominate. And we don't feel like we're being given the same chance in this country that other people are. And they stood up for that, and it affected real change because they were able to leverage their talent and their platform as athletes into social change. And that's so powerful, man. And I think it really did open the door for a lot of the players you see today who are able to speak their mind, whether it's in interviews, on Twitter, just with a random tweet, or, whatever it may be. They can really speak out on issues that are important to them and have their voice be heard. And because of the platform that they've been given and the history that players like Kareem have with using this platform to affect real change, we can look at athletes and say, okay, these guys can actually be, more than athletes. They can be guys that see the world around them, see changes they want to make, and make those changes. So I just think Kareem really paved the way for those guys, and it's important to look back and remember his legacy is not only one of the greatest ballers of all time, like 19-time All-Star, but just what he did off the court is really amazing. And just a recent example, you see the NBA's vaccination campaign on, in commercials or online or whatever. And who's the face of it? Kareem. He's there getting a vaccine in the arm, no big deal.
Look, I think when Russell got his shot, he said, this is the one shot that I won't block or something. It was really great.
Right. And I just think that's really cool because there is a lot of stigma around the vaccine, but it's an important message to get out there that whether or not you're nervous about it, the vaccine is effective and people need to take it. And for a lot of people, I think seeing their heroes like Kareem have the vaccine, very visibly in front of them, it kind of opens that avenue in their mind. Like, hey, Kareem did it. Why don't I do it?
Yeah.
And I just think he's great because he's done that his whole career, and he's really been a very positive role model and building block for the NBA in general. So
actually,
way to go, Kareem.
The first time that I really saw him, it was in movies. So, and then I found out afterwards that he was this awesome basketball player. It was very strange.
Yeah, man, he's a cool dude.
Yeah. I have three, and I was going to pick one or the other, but I thought just to toss them all in together since they were all very, very important. And that is Earl Lloyd, Chuck Cooper, and Nat Clifton helped not just blaze the path for African-American players in the NBA, but they took a lot of the ignorant hate that came with being first. Lloyd, Cooper, and Clifton entered the National Basketball Association in 1950 and became pioneers for today's African-American basketball players. Cooper was the first African-American to be drafted by a team. Clifton was the first to sign an NBA contract. And on October October 31st, 1950, Lloyd, a member of the Washington Capitals, became the first African-American player to play in an NBA game when he entered a game against the Rochester Royals. Lloyd was not a household name like Jackie Robinson, who broke Major League Baseball's color barrier in 1947. With Lloyd, Clifton, and Cooper all joining the NBA during the same season, none of them had to carry the burden alone the way that Robinson did. In fact, Cooper made his debut with the Boston Celtics just one day after Lloyd played his first game with Washington. And with Robinson already playing baseball, the debut of African-American players in the NBA was not met with the same level of tension. But Lloyd had many uncomfortable moments. After a game in Fort Wayne, Lloyd and one of his teammates, Johnny Red Kerr, were walking off the floor together after a victory. He says, we were celebrating the win. I had my arm around Earl and some fans just spit on us, said Kerr, a former great player and Bulls broadcaster. It wasn't because we had won the game. They were spitting at Earl. Lloyd went on to coach some, but ended up in the front office for the Pistons for some years. Nat Clifton, also known as Sweetwater, found the most success of the three on the court, as he was an all-star in 1956. Chuck Cooper was mostly a role player during his 5-year career, but his worth cannot be measured in numbers, as his place in the league and the history of our country is so much more than just a game. These three men should be remembered as heroes, and the league would not be where it is today without their courage. I think these guys in particular get kind of overlooked by the Russells and Kareems and everybody else because their on-court presence wasn't Jackie Robinson's level of just amazing, success, and Robinson was really in baseball, he had to be great every single night, and not only be great, he had to be personable, and he couldn't show anger, and he had to just smile. It was so much. Just bullshit. I just have to say it.
No, you're right. Yeah.
In terms of what they had to go through, and even, thankfully, it's getting better nowadays. But it wasn't long ago that this was still happening, and stuff. And so I think that, Chuck Cooper, he gets lost in the annals of time or whatever and everything. And so I kind of wanted to use what small platform that we've kind of built here to just talk a little bit about the league, because I love the NBA, and I've been following it for the last 25 years or so, and it's given me a lot of entertainment and joy over the years, and I fully respect all those guys and just how much that they've had to go through and how much they still have to go through, even and you're talking about Kareem, and how he's opened the door for other players nowadays to be able to speak freely. And we were talking before we start recording, Jaylen Brown is completely vocal, and he's so just very personal and intelligent, and just I think he's very charismatic, and he's one of my favorite players. And I don't think this is going to be his moment in time. I think he's going to go on to do more things after playing basketball. And I could totally see him running for in politics and stuff and trying to make actual change. So to all those guys, Chuck Cooper and Lloyd and Nat Clifton or whatever, thank you for helping build the league. Kareem, obviously, also did a whole bunch off the court as well. It's just awesome. Yeah. Join us next week as we talk more about the Grizzlies and continue our journey down memory lane as we spotlight players that we think helped shape the NBA. As always, you can stay up to date with the Draft and Stash by subscribing. Until next time, let's go Griz.
Let's go Griz.
Thanks, guys.